Okay, so we're going to be making these beautiful duck slash chicken earrings, whatever you want to call them, and we're going to make the second pair of this little guy here. So what we need is a 0.9 millimeter hook, as you can see. We'll need a pair of cutters, a pair of pliers for the end, a little sewing needle. You'll definitely need something that's small and a little bit sharp towards the end there. And then finally, what I use is 1-ply cotton yarn. So I've used 4-ply here, and then I've cut off the amount that I want, and then I just take off 1 strand of that 4-ply yarn, and that's what I use here to start making it. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to start off with my hook and my yellow yarn to make this little duck slash chicken. And I'm just going to make a regular magic ring as you would normally do. So this is nothing different from how you would normally crochet. You're just making your normal magic ring to begin off the process. As you can see here, there is my magic ring. And now what I'm going to be doing is crocheting 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So let us begin. You come inside with the hook, pull it out. Oh, hold on. So what we're going to be doing is starting with a magic ring. So this is the regular magic ring that you'll be making. There's no difference. It's just that you're using a smaller hook and smaller yarn to get that done. So we're going to make that magic ring, as you can see here. And now the second thing that you're going to be doing is making 6 single crochet stitches. So these are just normal single crochet stitches. So put the hook in through the magic ring, pull the yarn out, and then pull the yarn through 2 loops that are on the hook. And you might want to make that first stitch a little bit loose there, and this will be helpful for when you tighten that magic ring and try to go into it the next time. And we're going to do a total of 6 single crochet stitches here. So that's number 2, we've got number 3 coming up right here, number 4, number 5, and finally number 6. So I hope you're able to get those 6 single crochet stitches done just like that. And now we're just going to pull this tail end of our magic ring, pull it nice and tightly, but not too tight because you don't want to break the string. And then from here we're going to be crocheting in a spiral. So we're not connecting this by a slip stitch and chain 1. Instead we're just going to continue on crocheting, and we call that crocheting in a spiral. So here's my first stitch right here. So I'm going to enter into that with my hook. And then here I'm going to make an increase, because in this next round, round 2, we're going to be making 6 increases. We have 6 stitches, so in each of those stitches in the round we're going to be making an increase. Now an increase, for those of you who don't know, just means 2 single crochet stitches in the 1 stitch space. So here I'm in my 2nd stitch space, and I'm going to be doing not 1 single crochet stitch, but instead I'm going to be doing 2. And we'll continue that all the way around. So here's the 3rd, there's the 1st single crochet stitch and the 2nd. Now I'm in my 4th stitch, I'll do the 1st single crochet stitch and then the 2nd to finish that increase. Now I'm in the 5th, and I'm going to do not 1 but 2 single crochet stitches, and then finally number 6 in the first round I'm coming in and I'm completing the increase in that stitch right there. So there we go, I've just completed the 2nd round, and this is, oh, it has a total of 12 stitches now in the round because I've made an increase in every one of those. Now for the 3rd round, and don't forget to pause the video if you need to continue doing this, and once you're there, come back. So in the 3rd round now, we're going to be doing something that is just an additional to the 2nd round pattern. So in the 1st stitch, we'll do a single crochet stitch. Then in the 2nd one, we do the increase. So 1 and 2. Remember, 2 single crochet stitches in the 1 stitch space. And now we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around so that we have a total of 18 single crochet stitches. So total right now is only 3. So let's do the single crochet stitch like that, and now the increase in the next stitch, 1, 2, giving us a total of 6 so far. The single crochet stitch next, and then an increase, and this will give us a total of 9, so we're halfway there. Then a single crochet stitch just like that, now an increase, and that will give us a total of 12 so far. Then a single crochet stitch and an increase, giving us a total of 15. So we've got one more of that pattern, single crochet stitch, and then finishing on an increase to give us a total of 18 stitches in the round. So that's exactly what we have right now. Okay, for the next round, we are going to be doing something that's a little bit tricky, but doesn't take too much thought once you get the hang of it. And I would definitely recommend doing this with your normal yarn and hook that you're used to before doing it in micro crochet version. So we're just going to crochet 5 single crochet stitches as normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on that 5th one, we're not going to complete it all to the end, as in pull the yellow yarn through it. Instead, we're going to change our yarn color here to orange. So you can see I've got orange yarn, and then I'm going to pull that through to finish off that 5th single crochet stitch right there. Now I'm going to grab those 2 yarn strands at the back, just so I can hold them, because I'm going to weave them in as I make this first duck or chicken leg as we go across, and we're going to be doing this as a bubble stitch in the very next stitch. For those of you who don't know what a bubble stitch is, I will show you right now. So we're going to wrap the yarn, and then we're going to go into the very next stitch. Have those 2 yarn strands on top of the hook as you do so, then pull the yarn through, then pull the yarn through only 2 loops on the hook, and now we have 2 loops on the hook, as you can see. We're going to repeat that. So wrap the yarn, go into the same stitch, make sure the yarn is on top of the hook so we can weave that in as we go along. So yarn on top of the hook, pull the yarn through, and then pull the yarn through only 2 loops on the hook, and now you have 3 loops left on the hook. We'll repeat that process again. So pulling the yarn through only 2 loops on the hook. Now we have, as you can see, a total of 4 loops on the hook. And let's do that one more time. So wrapping the yarn, go in the same stitch, pull the yarn through, and now pull the yarn through just 2 loops on the hook, giving us an additional loop on the hook now, where you can see we have 5 loops on the hook. And now you may be tempted to use the orange to pull that yarn through all 5 loops on the hook, but this is where we actually change the yarn color again to yellow. So I'm going to grab that yellow piece of yarn, and I'm going to pull it all the way through those 5 loops that were on the hook. We're not going to finish this off with a chain. Instead, we're just going to go right into the next stitch. So this was stitch number 6, that bubble stitch, and we're coming here to perform stitch number 7 as a normal single crochet stitch. Number 8 will also be a single crochet stitch. Number 9 will be a single crochet stitch, and number 10 will also be a single crochet stitch, but this is where on stitch number 10 we change back to orange yarn, as you can see here, because we have to make our second leg, which is exactly what we'll do here now. So I'm going to grab those 2 yarn ends, and then what I'm going to do is make that bubble stitch again in the very next stitch. So here we go. This is stitch number 11. As you can see, I've wrapped the yarn and I'm pulling the yarn through, then I pull it through 2 loops on the hook. Now I've got 2 loops on the hook as well. I wrap the yarn, I go into the same stitch, pull it out, and pull the yarn through 2 loops, giving me 3 loops on the hook. Wrap the yarn, same stitch, pull the yarn through, and pull it through 2 loops. Now I've got 4 loops on the hook, and last time, wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through 2 loops, and now we have 5 loops on the hook, as you can see here. And what I will do at this point as well, we're going to change back to our yellow color, and then I will pull the yellow color through all 5 loops on the hook. And there we have just completed our second leg, and that was stitch number 11. For stitch number 12, we're just going to continue now all the way to stitch number 18 with single crochet stitches. So there's number 12, 13, and you may want to weave in the orange yarn just for a couple of those stitches. Here's number 14, here's number 15, 16, 17, and you don't need to weave in the orange anymore, we've done that for a few. And here is number 18. So as you can see, we've just finished that round there. I'm pulling the yarn up a little bit because as you can see, this is kind of turning inside out and we don't want that. So I'm going to position this so that it's in the correct orientation. I can even use a pair of cutters here just to poke it out a little bit, because remember, it is a bubble stitch, so you do want to see the leg popping out. It shouldn't be on the inside. Instead, it should be on the outside, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're just popping it out with our little pair of cutters, and now you can see our wonderful pair of legs, or flippers, or whatever you want to call them, little duck feet. Okay, so now for the next 2 rounds, and this will be quite a relief for you guys, we are going to, and actually we'll do this for the next 3 rounds. I think for the next 3 rounds we're going to be doing 18 single crochet stitches. So just regular single crochet stitches all the way around for 3 rounds in total. So I'll let you pause the video and you guys can do that. I'll just start you off. So here's the first single crochet stitch, the second, the third, the fourth. Here's number 5, and this is the point where we get into the top of the orange. So you can see the top of the orange here, number 6. And then we come over here, number 7, 8, 9, 10, back into the orange stitch. This is number 11. Very good. You guys are doing excellent. Number 12 coming over here, and we may as well finish this round now. So we've done 12. I'm just turning this back inside out, or the correct way around. So we've done 12. In this stitch here, this will be right here is number 13. Just make sure you don't go into the same stitch twice, so really use your eyes well. So that's 13, and we have 14, 15, 16, 17, and finally 18. So what you're going to do at this point is do another 2 rounds of 18 single crochet stitches. So we said 3 rounds in total, so we've done 1, now we have another 2 to go. And I'm just going to chop off these yarn tails here because I don't need them anymore. So I'll let you pause the video, and once you finish those 2 rounds, we'll come back and we'll talk about what we're going to do next, which will be the wings on the side of the body. Okay, so I've just finished the additional 2 rounds, so you should be at this point right here. The legs look like that, and the body is looking like this so far. So in this very next round, this is where we're going to start making the wings, but first we have to make sure we know where we are going to place the wings as well. So I'm going to just do 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3, and now I think I'm going to place the first wing over here. No, so I'll do 4, hold on, make sure you do 4, and maybe I'll place it right here. So in the 5th stitch of that round, I'm going to make a bubble stitch. So again, wrapping the yarn, and this is in the same color here. Pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through 2. Wrap the yarn, same stitch, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through 2. Again, wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through 2, and then pull the yarn through 2 again. And last time to finish this bubble stitch, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through 2. We have 5 loops now on the hook, and we're going to pull the yellow through all 5 loops on the hook, just like that. And now that was the 5th stitch, so now we're going to complete number 6, number 7, just with regular single crochet stitches, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches right there, and here's where we're going to create the next bubble stitch, I think. So on the 13th stitch, we come in here, pull the yarn through 2, wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through 2, wrap the yarn and pull the yarn through 2. One more time, wrap the yarn and pull the yarn through 2 stitches. Now you have 5 stitches on the hook, or 5 loops on the hook. Pull the yarn through all 5 loops on the hook. So that's number 13. Let's finish it off with single crochet stitches. 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 to finish that off. So there you go. Now let's turn these the right way. And again, you can use a pair of cutters to do this, just poking out those bubble stitches. That way you've got the wings nicely pushed out and they become visible, and then it's easy for you to continue on with the next round. So there we go. Well done, guys. You're doing an excellent job. And from here on out, it's not too difficult. So we'll do this together. Okay, so we're coming back here. And what we will do is probably another 3 to 4 rounds of just 18 single crochet stitches. So remember, we have 18 single crochet stitches in the round. So here's my first, second, and I'll do this first round with you, third, fourth, coming in here with the big stitch for that bubble stitch, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, keeping these nice and level, ninth, 10, 11, 12, 13 was the big bubble stitch, so here we come, 13th stitch, 14th, 15th, 16, oops, let's do that 16th stitch again. So there's 16, 17 and 18. So you can see we've just done one round there of 18 single crochet stitches. We've gone over our bubble stitches as well, and I'm pushing those out so that you can really see them. And what I'll do is another 3 more rounds of 18 single crochet stitches. So feel free to pause again, and after you've done an additional 3 rounds of 18, then we'll come back and complete the next step. Okay, so we've just finished those 3 rounds of 18 single crochet stitches. Now we have only 2 rounds to go, so this is where you should be excited now because we're so close to finishing. Now this is how we're going to finish it. You're going to finish with a single crochet stitch, and then you will do a decrease straight after. So every other stitch is going to be a decrease, and we'll do that a total of 6 times. Now to perform the decrease, what you will do is put your hook in the first loop of the adjacent stitch, and then directly again into the first loop of the next adjacent stitch. And once you've got it in those front loops, just the front loops, you'll pull the yarn through the front loops and then pull the yarn through the rest of those 2 loops that were left on the hook. So again, single crochet stitch first. Here's our second decrease now. So what do we have? We have the front loop and the front loop again of the next stitch, pull the yarn through and then pull the yarn through those 2 loops. Let's do it again. So single crochet stitch first, and now we have the decrease. So front loop and front loop again, then pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, single crochet stitch. You guys are doing excellent. Front loop and front loop. Now if you need practice with that, feel free to practice as much as possible first. Make sure you're not missing any stitches as well as you're doing this. This is my 5th decrease right here. Now I'm going to do the decrease right there. So there's number 5 decrease, then the 6th single crochet stitch and the 6th and final decrease. So front loop, grab the yarn and pull it through those 2 loops as well. Now I'm going to stretch this out a little bit just there, because the next thing that we need to do before we close up and finish our final round is that we need to add some fiber filling. Now this is just your regular fiber filling from the inside of a pillow or cushion or something like that, and you can easily buy that online. So all we'll do now is I'm going to be using my cutters as something that can poke and prod it in, and then it can all condense. I wouldn't recommend using a hook because it doesn't really catch the yarn, the fiber filling very well. So you can see I'm just adding some fiber filling inside my duck or chicken body, and I'm going to just be filling it up nicely there and using my scissors to really get it in there. It takes some time, so don't rush this process as well. And just use as much as you think is necessary for your chicken body to be relatively firm and not too floppy. And I think that's the main thing that you have to look out for here. So just keep pushing it in. You might have a lot that's left over at the top kind of sticking out, but you keep pushing and prodding and poking with your pair of cutters or something that you have to really push it in there until it gets very condensed and you're happy with how it's turning out. So I think for me, that's probably a decent amount of fiber filling that I have inside. It's coming out at the top, so I know that once it starts poking out a lot at the top, I've probably got enough. I could probably add maybe a tiny bit more if I really wanted to, just to make it a little bit more firm in the body and filling it up as best as I can. But again, don't overstuff either, because you don't want to be pushing it out at each end. You want that bottom end to be quite flat, not poking out. So keep pushing it up with your finger as well once you've added the yarn. And feel free as well, if you've got too much stuffing in here, to take some out. It's really a subjective game here. Okay, so you can see it's really coming out here, and I've got to kind of push it in with my finger to keep it staying in there. I'm pushing the base here because I don't want this to plop that way. I just want it nice and flat as best as I can. Now, the next thing that I'm going to be doing, and again, this is the final round, so this is wonderful because we are so close to finishing now. And I'm just using my finger, probably fingernail at this point, but if you have a finger, that's all good too. So what we're going to do, I'm just using my finger to really keep the fiber filling inside, and then I'm about to start 6 decrease stitches. I could do either 5 or 6. It depends what it looks like at the end. So here's my first one. I'll just quickly complete that first decrease. Now go nice and slowly here, because you don't want your yarn to come out just like I've done. And it's not the worst thing in the world. I just don't like trying to put my needle back in the loop once I've missed it. So let's try that again. So number 1 decrease, decrease, finishing that decrease right there. So don't forget to take your time with this, guys. Here's number 2 coming up. So front loop of the adjacent stitch. That's our second. And then pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. There we go. So that's the second decrease. Now our third, front loop, pull the yarn through 2. Here's our fourth, front loop again. Take it nice and slow so you can get there. Pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. And I think we'll leave this as our last one, number 5. I won't do 6 in total, even though it's very intuitive that you would do 6. But I'm just going to do 5, and the reason is because, can you see my little opening space here at the top? I want that to be not too small so that I don't have a weird looking bump at the top once I've finished. Now in this next stitch space, I'll just perform what's called a slip stitch. So you just pull the yarn through it and pull it right directly into the loop on top. Now I'm going to pull the yarn through. I've already pre-cut this. For you guys, you might need to cut it. Depends how you've pre-cut your yarn, or not pre-cut it. Up to you. Now at this point, we've finished essentially the chicken pattern. We still do have some embroidery to go, which shouldn't take too long, but there are some techniques that we'll learn about with that. But with this yarn tail, I'm going to weave my yarn tail through the eye of a very small needle. You don't want this needle to be too big, otherwise you're not going to get inside the stitches here that you want. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to pull my yarn through the front loop of each of the remaining stitches. So make sure it's not the front and back loops. All you want is just the front loop here. That's your important thing to know. And there's going to be a couple more than 6. If I've only done 5 decreases, then I'll probably have a total of 8 front loops to get through. So we're just going through all of these front loops here that are remaining in my top circle, and I kind of call this the fake magic ring, just because, well, I don't really have a reason. It looks like the beginning, except it's not the beginning, so I call it the fake magic ring. That's all. And I'll come into this last one here. That was my slip stitch, so this is the slip stitch front loop. And now I'm going to pull the yarn, And don't do this too tightly either. You don't want to snap your yarn thread. And I'm going directly into the center. I'm coming out at any point. It doesn't matter where you go. I'll come out in the body over there. And I'm just going to pull, 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 pull. And see how this turns out nice and round with no bumps at the top here. And those bumps can occur if you don't have enough of the stitches to pull it together. And I might just, to tightly secure this, I'll go down below one stitch. That's fine because it's the same color. And I'll move around so that I come out somewhere else. Don't pull this too tightly either because you don't want that to be very visible. And then I'll cut the yarn here. And now look what we have just done. We have completed the body of our chicken slash duck. We've got its 2 wings, 2 feet, and now we need to do the eyes and the beak. So for the beak, what I'm going to be using is 1-ply pink yarn. And I just use this sort of baby pink color. It's not very vibrant and it's just subtle enough to show us what the beak is. Okay, so I'm going to come in at the back point here, and then I'm going to find the point at which I will create the nose. So I think what I'll do, if I can do this correctly, I'm just having a look over here with my other one, but what I might do is I'll come here and I'll have the yarn needle coming over here, because all I'm going to do at this point is come down to this point down here. So you can see this is in the center here, and then I'll come back out at this point. So I'm just making like a little bit of a triangle, if you will, and I'm trying to make it as centered as possible with this triangle as well. So we'll come back into this center stitch space, and I'm always going to be using that centered stitch space down there as I work my way and a few times with this beak. So I'm going to keep weaving in and out of those 2 stitch spaces, or 3 I should say, on all the way, leaving this yarn tail out of it as best as I can. So I'm coming back here, coming back over here on my right side, which would be the duck's left side, and you can kind of manipulate that yarn so it falls center as best as you can. There's no real right or wrong way of doing this. It's just a little bit of practice and directing that needle and yarn to the place that you want it to go. Just making sure that it is as centered as possible. I think that's the main point here. I'm going to do maybe, let's do another couple just to finish this off. And I'm going to come a little bit more centered at this point. And I'll position that yarn so it falls almost directly in the middle. Then I'll come over here again. And finally, to finish this off, I'm going to go into the top, my left side corner, the duck's right. I'm just coming, and you can go to the other corner as well. And then I'm going to directly go across to the other corner. So I'm coming right here, and that will just mellow out the beak's form and shape, leaving no spaces at the top there. And then my needle is going to go right into the stitch space where I entered the needle, and that will really close it off well. And you'll see how we do that in just a moment. So I'm going very slowly. There we go. There's our beak all done, nice and pointed at the bottom there. Hope you can see that. And now with this here, all I'm going to do, so I've come out in the same stitch space, and all I'm going to do here is a double knot. So I'm tying a double knot right here. So that's 1. Here's number 2, just like so. And from here, all I'm going to do is cut the yarn. You could probably cut a lot better than I've just cut right there, but in any case, we've cut the yarn appropriately, and I'm going to push our little knot back inside that stitch space to hide it. And that's what I really want to do here. I want to hide that pink yarn so you can't see it and it's inside the body. That's why you come out in the same stitch space so that you can hide it later on. Okay, here's my duck/chicken, and now all that's left to do is the eyes. So let us create the eyes right now, and we're going to do that with some black yarn, 1 ply as well. Okay, so now I have my black yarn weaved through the eye of a small needle. I'll come into the back here at any point again, and then I'm just going to position my needle to come out at a stitch space where I want my eye to appear. So I want my eye to maybe appear right here, so that's where I position the needle. Now I'm going to pull it, pull until I have a little bit of a yarn tail at the back here, so I can use that for tying purposes later. Now this is the very important next part. We're going to learn how to do something called a French knot. A French knot. So what we're going to do, this is very important to know about the positioning of the needle. So most people will be tempted to come in at the side here with their needle, but that is not actually correct for the French knot. You want to come underneath and point it up. And at that point, so again, your needle comes from underneath the yarn, point it up, and then you grab the yarn from underneath. You don't need this to turn, it's just turned naturally. And then you pull that yarn like so, and keep it nice and centered there as best as you can. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to wrap the yarn around the needle twice. So that's me doing it twice right there. Now you can do more or less depending on how thick you want your eye, but that's how I do it. Now this is the tricky part. You want the needle to go back into that same stitch space whilst keeping the yarn nice and tight. And then you can finish off here if you wanted by going back out at this place here to tie a knot, and then finish that first French knot and then start your second individually. Or if you are confident, you can go and put your needle exactly where you want your second eye, which here, that's where my second eye is going to be. Now the only thing is, if you have that confidence, just remember that if you make a mistake on the second or third or whatever French knot that you've done consecutively, then you kind of have to start from the very beginning, because all the French knots would be connected to each other as we have here. Don't pull the yarn too tightly, as you can see, because you don't want that French knot going back inside the body. And now we are ready to begin our second French knot. Now with the second French knot, you want to be very careful that everything is kept nice and tight. So let's do that same technique again. So the needle comes underneath the yarn, not on top underneath, bottom underneath. Okay, this is very important to remember. Keep your duck oriented as best you can so you're not moving it too much. Keep it nice and tight as well. Look how tight my yarn is on the needle. I don't really have yarn tails flinging around anywhere. There's nothing loose. Okay, now I'm going to tie once, twice. Okay, keep it nice and tight. Keep everything nice and tight. As I move the needle back to try and find that stitch space, I'm going to insert my needle through that stitch space. I'm going to come out. Now I can come out at this point over here, which is where my needle entered the first time. Or if you're too far away, you could come out here first and then enter back into that same stitch and then come out there. It's up to you how you want to do that. Now I'll just let my needle fly through the eye, and I'm going to pull it. I'm just going to be very careful how I pull it here though. So I'm doing this very slowly, as you can see. Don't pull it too hard. And there is my second wonderful French knot for the duck's second eye. It's wonderful. These are looking great. Again, if you don't have confidence to do 2 in a row, just do 1 at a time. Cutting the yarn, tying it off, just as I'm doing here. So right now I'm going to, like I said, tie it off. The yarn is in the same stitch, coming out and in the same stitch. So all I need to do here is just tie a knot, and let's tie another knot. And you could even do this 3 times for secure, to make it very secure. I'll just do it twice because I've been doing that for a while and I've had no issues. Tie it nice and tight, cut right at the ends, and then using your yarn needle, all you want to do is just poke it back inside that stitch. And this is again why it's very important to come out and in the same stitch space so that you can really hide it away in the body there. And there we have our wonderful looking duck earring, which is a perfect size for the ears. So what we'll do now is just quickly add the jump loop and the earring to finish off this duck earring. So here you can see, here's my jump loop and my sterling silver earring that I have here. So I'm going to grab the jump hoop or loop or whatever you call that. And then I'm going to open it up with a pair of pliers, and that's why I said you should have a pair of pliers handy with you whilst making these earrings. Of course it can be a necklace as well, it depends how you want to have this duck. Now I'm going to come in from the side, so can you see that fake magic ring up here? And it's fake because we started over here and we finished here, and I'm going to come around it. So what I want to do is I really want to come around that fake magic ring, and this takes a little bit of turning and moving and things like that. And then I'm going to come out around the other side as best as I can, maybe in one of these stitch spaces. And you may have to manipulate as well your jump hoop if you need to. So there's ours. So we've just finished that, and I'm pulling it out as best as I can. And now with the hook, I'll have it coming from the side, so that way the chicken's always facing the front. And now at this point I'm going to close the jump hoop, jump loop, whatever you do call it. Make sure it's nice and firm. So you're always opening from the side, closing from the side. And then the part where it's connected together, what I'll do is just turn the jump loop slightly so that the connection point is facing the inside, and it just minimizes the percentage of this hook coming off. I mean, it shouldn't do that anyway, you should be pretty good, but it just further minimizes the percentage chance of that happening. And there we go. So here is my first duck earring, and here is the second matching duck earring, as you can see here. Beautiful. And then you can put it onto a piece of card just like I've done over here, and have your very own set of earrings that you can gift to someone or something like that. But I hope you like that. I think it's very beautiful, and these are super cute to wear. Thanks guys, hope you liked and enjoyed this, and I hope you made your very own pair. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tag me on Instagram if you've made any of these yourselves, because I'd love to see your finished work. Thanks so much again. Bye.